There once lived a poor tailor in a busy city, and he had a young son named Aladdin. Aladdin was not like most boys who worked hard or helped their parents. He liked to play in the streets all day with other lazy boys who had nothing to do. His father often told him to learn a trade and to stop wasting time, but Aladdin never listened. The father grew sad and tired from worry and soon became sick. He died with a heavy heart, hoping that one day his son might change. Aladdin's mother cried bitterly, but Aladdin did not become a better boy. He kept playing in the streets, laughing and running with his friends, while his mother worked hard to spin cotton for food. One day, when Aladdin was about 15 years old, he was playing as usual when a tall stranger came to him. The man asked, "Are you not the son of Mustafa the tailor?" Aladdin said, "Yes, sir, but my father died a long time ago." The stranger smiled kindly and said, "Then I must be your uncle. I have been away from this country for 40 years. I am your father's brother, and I recognized you because you look just like him." Aladdin was surprised and ran home to tell his mother. She said, "Your father had a brother, but I thought he was dead. Still, if he is truly your uncle, we must welcome him." That evening, the stranger came to their small house carrying fruit and wine. He kissed the floor where Mustafa used to sit and said, "I have been far away in another land, but now I have come home to see my family." Aladdin's mother cooked a small supper, and they all ate together. The man, who was really an African magician and not Aladdin's uncle, looked around and asked Aladdin about his work. When Aladdin's mother said sadly that her son was lazy and learned no trade, the magician said kindly, "Do not worry, sister. I will open a shop for Aladdin and fill it with goods so that he can become a good man." Aladdin's mother thanked him with tears in her eyes. The next morning, the magician took Aladdin to the market and bought him a fine new suit of clothes. Aladdin was very happy to look so handsome. They walked all around the city, visiting beautiful gardens, fountains, and palaces. Aladdin had never been so far from his home. The magician told him pleasant stories and treated him like a kind uncle, so Aladdin began to trust him. Late in the day, they came to a green garden outside the city gate and sat by a fountain. The magician took a small cake from his belt and shared it with Aladdin. Then they walked farther until they came near two mountains divided by a narrow valley. The magician stopped and said, "We will go no farther, for I will show you something wonderful. Gather some dry sticks while I light a fire." Aladdin did as he was told, though he was getting tired. When the fire was burning, the magician threw some strange powder into the flames and said some magical words. The ground shook, and a large stone rose up from the earth. It was flat and square with a brass ring in the middle. Aladdin stepped back in fear, but the magician caught his arm and said sharply, "Do not be afraid. Beneath this stone is a great treasure, and only you can reach it. You must do exactly as I say." When Aladdin heard the word treasure, he forgot his fear and became excited. The magician told him to take hold of the ring, say the names of his father and grandfather, and lift the stone. Aladdin did this, and the stone moved easily. Under it were some steps going down into the ground. The magician said, "Go down these steps. You will see 3 large halls full of gold and jewels. Touch nothing or you will die. Beyond the halls is a garden with fine fruit trees. Walk until you find a small terrace with a burning lamp. Pour out the oil and bring the lamp to me. Here, take this ring for good luck." Aladdin did as he was told. He passed through the halls carefully, keeping his hands close to his body, and came to the garden full of trees with fruits shining like gems. He picked a few and put them in his pockets. At last, he found the lamp and took it. When he came back to the entrance, he called to his uncle to help him out. The magician said, "First, give me the lamp." Aladdin said, "No, I will give it to you when I am outside." The magician grew angry. He shouted, "You useless boy!" and threw more powder into the fire. The stone rolled back into its place, and Aladdin was trapped in the dark cave. The magician was not Aladdin's uncle at all. He was a cunning man who had read in his magic books about a wonderful lamp that would give him great power. But he could only get it through the hand of another. He had planned to take the lamp from Aladdin and then kill him, but now he was gone. Aladdin sat alone in darkness for 2 days, crying and calling for help. He was weak with hunger and fear. At last, he joined his hands in prayer, and as he rubbed them together, his finger brushed the ring that the magician had given him. Suddenly, a great light filled the cave, and a huge genie appeared. The genie said, "What do you want? I am the slave of the ring, and will obey you in all things." Aladdin said, "Take me out of this place!" In an instant, the earth opened, and Aladdin found himself outside in the sunlight. He thanked the genie and went home. When his mother saw him, she cried for joy. He told her everything that had happened and showed her the lamp and the shining fruits, which were really precious stones. He asked for food, but his mother said sadly, "I have nothing left in the house except a little cotton that I can sell." Aladdin said, "Do not sell it. I will sell this old lamp instead." His mother began to clean the lamp so that it might fetch a higher price. As she rubbed it, a terrible genie appeared and said, "What do you want? I am the slave of the lamp and will obey you." Aladdin's mother was so frightened that she fainted, but Aladdin took the lamp and said boldly, "Bring us something to eat." The genie disappeared and returned with a silver tray full of fine food, 12 silver plates, and 2 bottles of wine. Aladdin and his mother ate with delight. From that day, they lived comfortably. Whenever they needed food, Aladdin rubbed the lamp, and the genie brought them whatever they wanted. When the food and plates were gone, Aladdin sold one of the silver dishes in the market and lived on the money. Years passed, and Aladdin became a handsome young man. One day, he heard that the Sultan's daughter, the princess, was going to the public bath. No one was allowed to look at her, and everyone had to close their doors and windows. But Aladdin wanted to see her face. He hid near the bathhouse, and when the princess lifted her veil, he saw that she was more beautiful than anyone he had ever imagined. He fell deeply in love with her. He went home pale and silent, and his mother became worried. He told her that he could not live without the princess, and that he wanted to marry her. His mother laughed, thinking it was impossible, but Aladdin begged her to take his request to the Sultan. To make a good impression, she took the shining fruits from the garden, which were actually jewels, and wrapped them in a napkin. She went to the palace and waited in the great hall for many days before the Sultan noticed her. When he asked what she wanted, she told him about her son's love and showed him the jewels. The Sultan was amazed by their beauty, but said that his daughter was promised to the Grand Vizier's son. The vizier, jealous of the jewels, asked the Sultan to delay his answer for 3 months. When Aladdin's mother returned home with this news, Aladdin was sad but hopeful. After 2 months, his mother heard people celebrating in the city. They told her that the vizier's son was marrying the princess that night. She ran home to tell Aladdin, who became angry and desperate. He rubbed the lamp and said to the genie, "Bring me the bride and groom tonight." The genie obeyed and carried the princess and her husband to Aladdin's house. Aladdin said gently to the princess, "Do not be afraid. You are safe with me. I will not harm you, but your father broke his promise to me." The princess was frightened and stayed silent. The genie then carried the vizier's son back to the palace. The next morning, the vizier's son refused to speak and said he would rather die than go through another night like that, so the marriage was cancelled. When 3 months passed, Aladdin sent his mother to remind the Sultan of his promise. The Sultan, wanting to avoid keeping his word, said, "Your son must send me 40 basins of gold filled with jewels, each carried by 2 slaves, one white and one black, dressed in fine clothes." Aladdin used the lamp, and the genie brought everything he asked for. The slaves marched through the city, shining with jewels, and everyone stared in wonder. The Sultan could no longer refuse, and said, "Tell your son to come. I will welcome him as my son-in-law." Aladdin asked for a beautiful robe, a fine horse, and gold for the people in the streets. When he rode to the palace, everyone cheered. The Sultan greeted him warmly and prepared a grand feast. But Aladdin said, "I must build a palace worthy of your daughter before we marry." He went home and ordered the genie to build him a palace of marble, gold, and silver, with windows set with diamonds and rubies. The next day, the palace stood complete, shining in the sun. The Sultan was amazed and happily gave the princess to Aladdin. They were married with music, lights, and laughter. Aladdin and the princess lived happily, and the people loved him for his kindness and good heart. Years passed peacefully until one day, far away in Africa, the magician learned through his magic that Aladdin was alive and rich. He became very angry and decided to destroy him. He came to the city, dressed as a poor merchant, carrying new lamps in a basket. He walked around shouting, "New lamps for old ones." The people laughed, thinking he was crazy. But the princess, seeing him from her palace, heard a servant say, "There is an old lamp on the shelf. Shall I give it to him?" Not knowing it was magical, she agreed. The magician gave her a new lamp and quickly left the city. He went to a lonely place, rubbed the lamp, and said, "Genie, carry me in the palace to Africa." The next morning, the Sultan looked out and saw that Aladdin's palace was gone. He was furious and ordered Aladdin to be brought in chains. Aladdin begged for 40 days to find his wife, and the Sultan agreed. After walking for many days, Aladdin prayed by a river and rubbed the magic ring. The genie of the ring appeared and said, "I cannot bring back the palace, but I can take you where it is." In a flash, Aladdin was in Africa under the princess's window. When she saw him, she ran to him with tears of joy. She told him how a strange man had taken the lamp and moved the palace. Aladdin made a plan. He changed clothes with a traveler, went to the market, and bought some special powder. He told the princess, "Pretend to be kind to the magician. Ask him to supper, and give him this wine after you mix in the powder." That night, the magician came, happy that the princess smiled at him. She gave him the wine. When he drank it, he fell dead at once. Aladdin took the lamp from his robe and said to the genie, "Carry us in the palace back to China." The next morning, the Sultan saw the palace standing in its place again and ran to embrace his daughter and Aladdin. Everyone rejoiced, and a great feast was held. But soon another danger came. The dead magician had a brother, more wicked than himself. He came to China to avenge his brother's death. He killed a holy woman named Fatima and disguised himself as her, covering his face with her veil. People believed he was a saint and came to touch his robe for blessings. The princess, hearing about this holy woman, invited her to the palace. The false Fatima told her, "Your hall is beautiful, but it would be perfect if a roc's egg hung from the dome." The princess thought it was a good idea. When Aladdin came home, she asked him for the egg. He rubbed the lamp and told the genie to bring it. The genie screamed, "You fool! Do you know what you ask? The rock is my master. You deserve to be destroyed, but I will spare you because the idea was not yours. It came from the brother of the magician, who is in your palace, disguised as the holy woman." Aladdin was shocked. He went to the princess and said he had a headache. He asked her to bring the holy woman. When the false Fatima came close, Aladdin took out a dagger and killed him. The princess was frightened, but Aladdin explained everything. After this, they lived in peace for many years. When the Sultan died, Aladdin became king. He ruled wisely and kindly, and he and the princess lived happily for the rest of their lives, loved by all their people.